Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Border City Rock Talk. You get great news, great interviews, great interviewees, sometimes a comedic touch. Make sure you smash the subscribe button, hit the like button, and comment below. Today I've got a good, great, awesome bass player in Leslie Sanders of Prophets of Addiction. How you doing, man?
I'm good.
Speaking of bass players, kids, don't go too far. Tomorrow I've got David Ellefson on the show. I'm sure Leslie will know who that is. And I've got Ron Keel as well. We're going to get into it with Ron Keel tomorrow and talk about what's going on with him. But today we've got Leslie with us. New album was dropped on what, the 24th of July? Face the Music?
No, October 25th.
Oh,
and
okay.
And the other thing is, I actually just sang on this. I didn't play bass on this record. Phil Soussan.
But no, you're a bass player.
I have been always, yeah. And then Phil was producing, and I said, "Well, hey Phil, why don't you play? You played Ozzy. You must be pretty good. So why don't you play bass?" Yeah, I wanted to just concentrate on singing and worrying about that and making sure I had all this down. So yeah. Phil ended up playing bass. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I knew you were playing bass because you played on a Pretty Boy Floyd album. You played bass and you produced that album. So, but no, yeah, and talk about the big names. So you must be doing something right. I listened to the album. I got to be honest. A lot of times I don't get a time to listen to the album. I loved it. I mean,
thank you.
Slipping Away is so awesome. I mean, I had to write down, for me anyways, it's got a Chili Pepper meets glam rock and punk, Even You Too. That's just my take on it. Just the way it sounds. It's such a great song, man. How did that song come about?
Well, that song is actually about my stepfather, who was basically my dad. And, at one point I took him to the hospital and they said, "You have stage 4 cancer." And at that point I canceled all my tours. I canceled everything I had. And I basically hung with him and stayed at the house and did whatever I needed to do until his final days. And it kind of says that right in the song. It kind of tells the whole story right in that song. Like, that's what the 4th of July part. We drove in the truck and we watched those fireworks and just sat there and talked on the 4th of July. And, the other times when we hit the road, we got no place to, nowhere to go. We'd just go drive around. He wanted the heat. He was freezing cold. He wanted the heat on. And, and the other part, like he talked about my mom that says, "Don't leave her alone." And, this and that. And that's, that's it. If you listen to the words, that's what it's all about.
Right. No, I love that song for sure. And then the other one that sticks, well, "Let's Get High" is a good one. It's catchy, but the whole album to me is it's really unique. I love your singing. It's very, very. I don't know how I would classify. Like, what would you classify the style as? I kind of get there's a good punk element in it. That's just my opinion, and kind of LA Guns kind of 80s rock. Am I accurate, or what would you say?
I don't know. I never really thought about it. I never. Originally, as we talked about earlier, I played bass. I wrote songs and tried to find a singer. And, at one point it was just like, we'd always, in my past bands, there was always a problem or trouble. And, and then when you change a singer, it's almost like, well, how do you keep going with a different singer? And so at one point I just said, you know what, I'll just sing. Then we don't have to deal with that. We got to get a new singer. We don't have to get a new singer if I'm still there. So as far as the voice goes, I'm not really sure. I guess I just, take my influences, but most of my influences are definitely not people who would make it past the first round in the voice. If you start talking about anyone from Joey Ramone to Michael Monroe to Axl Rose to any David Bowie, any of those people, you might not they wouldn't necessarily be considered great singers, even though they are, in my opinion, but not by a textbook. They're not.
Not like a Michael Bublé kind of a way, right? Like, I mean, it's not a tenor.
I don't even know who that is.
Michael Bublé. Okay, well, he's a famous Canadian. He's a Canuck. He's like what they would call a tenor. Like, he sings kind of. I don't know how you'd say. Like, Sinatra. He's like that, but he's like a.
Okay.
21st century Sinatra, I guess they would say. Now, another song on the album, I guess you'd have to talk about the voices. You guys did an awesome cover of Maggie May by Rod Stewart. I mean, that is so awesome. And I had to, and because my show, I kind of keep it corny. And lots of times it's not because I'm trying to, it just happens that way. I just thought of this. I listened to Rod's version of it, then I listened to yours, and I thought, well, I got to ask Leslie, were you pissed off at Maggie? Because the way you approach the song is a little, a little bit stronger, more aggressive. But it's a great tune.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. No, we just kind of sped it up, and I think that one thing, to be honest, what happened is there's some pretty high parts in there, even though Rod has that scratchy, unique voice. We talked about tuning it down a half step before we recorded it, and we forgot to do that. So once it was done, I'm like, oh no, we forgot to tune it down. So I couldn't. Now at this point, I was like hard, so I was just like, all right, let's go for it. I started singing it like that, and Phil said, "Hey, that works." And we just did it, and it kind of came across. It's kind of weird because like the music's very clean, and that's how we wanted this record. We didn't want all these overly distorted guitars and stuff, so it's very clean. And then you have this attitude to it, so we thought it was pretty cool.
I was thinking to myself, okay, Rod would be singing it to his girlfriend or whatever. She's laying on the bed and he's kind of singing it, but not to wake her up. But if you were there, she'd startle. She'd get startled.
Yeah, right.
But it's wicked, man. And it's so good. You guys got to check out. It's on the album Face the Music, which was signed by Brave Words. And the other
Brave
thing
Words
was,
Records, yes.
I'd interviewed Carmine a couple times, a Peachy, I forget how he said he pronounced it, but he asked permission for your to send it to Rod.
Yeah, because Phil is obviously, he's done some recordings with Carmine and stuff. So Phil sent it, actually, I think Carmine was over there at Phil's place, and Phil said, "Hey, let me play this for you." And I guess Carmine was like, "Wow, that's really good. Would you guys mind if we send it to Rod?" And of course, we're like, "Well, of course." And I'm not sure if he ever heard back from Rod or not, but last I checked, he apparently he hadn't mentioned anything to Phil. So that would be very interesting to see what Rod said. I mean, as long as he doesn't get mad.
Well, this is my take on it. I think he was. I think he'd be very, very happy with it, because if he wasn't, that word might get out like these guys butchered my song. So I'm pretty sure he liked it. Like I liked it. So that's what matters, Leslie. Not Rod's.
Right.
I like
that's all that matters. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Carmine used to be in Rod's band, So
yeah.
I thought he really liked
down
it.
There in Florida. So what is who else is in the band right now? Like, I mean, you had Phil come in. I'm not sure if he's going to be a permanent member.
Wayne Stokely's on drums. We have Chad Dratz on guitar, and Terry Bradshaw on guitar, and he plays some other stuff. And then Glenn Gigi, he played guitar on the record as well.
You're not talking about the football player, Terry Bradshaw?
Not Bradshaw, Bratch.
Oh, okay.
And we're trying to get Terry Bradshaw, but he was too busy. He had to do some halftime show.
And every time he would touch a guitar, he would crush it with his hands.
Right, yeah.
Okay. So you've recorded a few other albums with Prophets. Is this what, the fourth?
It's the fourth, yeah.
Okay, you guys are going to be lining up some shows?
We are we're working on a couple big shows right now. We'll see what happens. And I'm not sure. We're kind of waiting to see what happens with those. And then we'll go from there. We're not really sure exactly what we're going to do about that yet. This for once, I'm just kind of taking my time and in no hurry to make anything happen. So that's even why it took so long we recorded and we kind of waited and so that's all. And I just, I don't know what we're going to do next. Maybe I'll start working on more songs already.
Maybe if Rod does any more shows, he'll get you to open up for him.
Yeah. And we'll play Maggie May instead of him, right?
Oh man. No, you guys got to check that out. That's a great song. I'm not sure if you released it as a video yet or anything.
No, maybe we did the video for Superhero, and we did Let's Get High. And we're working on the next one now.
Okay. Well, I'll put the link.
It just reminds me, I need to get work on that one. I just got back from being in Tulsa, Oklahoma for a week.
Oh wow! What was going on in Tulsa?
I was racing BMX at the Grand Nationals.
Wow! A jack of all trades.
I guess, yeah.
How did you finish? Well, you actually finished. So
I didn't make the main, but that's all right. There's some fast guy. I'm racing all the old pros from back in the days, and the guys that were in the magazines in the '80s. I raced a bunch of those guys, and they're still really fast. So I just got back in a couple of years ago. So Be
You
working my way up.
keep in touch with the old guys from the from Pretty Boy Floyd?
Yeah, I talk to Steve once in a while. Yeah.
Any chance of any kind of a reunion there? Or I mean, I know I'm not sure what they're doing.
Who knows? It seems like Steve's doing good with the guys he's got right now, and I'm
Yeah.
doing my thing. But who knows? You never know.
Well, I love this album. I don't want to keep you. I know you're busy. You've got pressers all over the place. Everybody go down to the bottom. The link will be there for Prophets of Addiction. The album, the two videos that are out. Buy all kinds of merch. It's the holiday season, so we got to make Leslie even richer. And for sure,
Oh
guys,
yeah.
get that album just for the one song, Maggie May. I'm telling you, you'd be blown away. There's one band that did a cover of an SOS by ABBA, and they're like, I'm into the hard rock, but they're called the Mad Caddies. I don't know if you heard of them.
Uh,
They're a
I think I've heard
ska
of that
band out
band.
of California, and they
Yeah.
kicked the shit out of this SOS version. It was so good in the way that you wrote that, or you sang that song, and the way your band played, that it kept the original classic part of it. But there's definitely it's not just some cover band doing a straight ahead copy with no unique elements. So I mean
Right.
that was a great song.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. So I'd like to thank Michael for setting this up. Couple cliche questions. What's the opposite of unsubscribe?
Subscribe.
Everybody does, as Leslie says, and subscribe to the channel. Like I said, tomorrow we've got David Ellefson and Ron Keel coming up. Matt Starr on Friday. Chris Holmes. Hopefully that's going to go through. Possibly next week. Like to talk to Chris. And the other thing is, you have a favorite Canadian band or artist, and I'm sure it's not Michael Bublé.
No, there is plenty, but I remember. You remember Robin Black?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like those records they put out.
Right on. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'd like to thank you again for your time. And once I get this edited, probably the next 3 or 4 hours, because I got a big day tomorrow. So I want to get this done and out for the people to take a look at. I'll send it to Michael. He can send it to you, and you can share it if you don't mind.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.